This is Valley News Live at noon.
Summer vacation is officially over for Fargo Public Schools students. Today is the first day of classes, and they were reminded to not forget those face masks. Now, this includes on school and activity buses. It is a federal requirement. And this was passed back on August 10th to start on the 16th. Students and staff that don't feel well should stay home. And Fargo staff will work closely with Fargo-Cass Public Health to adapt and change as needed. Face masks will be offered to those that forget it, with disciplinary action taken for those that oppose it.
We really don't want to take disciplinary action. We want to make sure that we all understand, hey, we're all here to promote a safe learning environment. So let's do our part and hopefully put this pandemic behind us as soon as we can.
Fargo will continue to work closely with Fargo-Cass Public Health regarding COVID-19 and the Delta variant. If recommendations change, the school district will adapt. Well, new this afternoon, the city of Moorhead is returning to some earlier COVID protocols. Everyone is again required to wear face masks in city buildings, no matter your vaccination status. The city is also recommending social distancing of 6 feet inside its facilities. The move comes as Clay County moves back into a high COVID transmission category. Well, kids in Fargo and Grand Forks got a chilly start to their first day of school. Let's go to meteorologist Lisa Green to see what parents can expect while picking them up this afternoon. Hey, Lisa.
Good afternoon. Yes, especially in Grand Forks, we dipped down into the 40s this morning, so that's certainly a cool start. And hopefully the kids dressed in layers because they may not want that extra layer here as we head into the afternoon hours. Not that it's all that warm out there. Here's a look at our current conditions. We're still in the 60s in most places. It's 68 in Fargo, Grand Forks, Jamestown, Fergus Falls, all checking in at 68, at 69 in Bemidji, and in Langdon, a much cooler 57 with more clouds there. We've had some clouds hanging around the northern valley today. Visibility looking a lot better than this morning in a couple of spots. Hallock, we were down to 0 for a time with some fog that developed there. And there's still some clouds up in this area, but we're not seeing the clouds at the surface at this point. But as long as we're keeping these around, we're looking at some cooler temperatures in the northern valley, those places closest to the international border today. We've had sunshine in the south, but here's this system we've been talking about all morning with the clouds associated with it. Some partly to mostly cloudy skies at times, and there's just enough green on the map indicating that we may have a few sprinkles in the far southern valley from time to time this afternoon. So here's a look at our forecast. A lot of us getting into the 70s in the south. Again, cooler under those clouds up north, especially right along the international border. Not bad, but certainly feeling a little bit more like fall on this first day back to school. We'll let you know what to expect for the rest of the school week coming up in just a couple of minutes.
It was definitely chilly this morning. I'll remember next time to wear layers, not just a long sleeve shirt.
Good idea.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, the United States military is moving to mandate the COVID-19 vaccine for all service members. During today's Pentagon briefing, spokesman James Kirby said that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin had determined that vaccinations are necessary for the safety of service members. Service members must receive their shots immediately. According to the Pentagon, more than 800,000 service members have yet to get their shots. Among active force members, 69% are fully vaccinated. Johnson & Johnson may be soon offering a booster shot for the COVID-19 vaccine. This morning, the company released data of early-stage clinical trials showing a booster dose resulted in 9-fold increase in antibodies. And that's compared to those seen 4 weeks after a single dose. The company is now in discussions with the FDA and other health authorities regarding booster shots. Neither of the studies mention the booster shots' impact on the Delta variant or on safety. An Inspector General's report on January 6 shows an emergency notification system used by the Capitol Police didn't work the way it was supposed to. The Inspector General's report found that most of the emergency radio activations from individual officers were never simulcast. ND Watchers commanders were not even aware of some of those alerts. And that is supposed to be a standard protocol designed to spread the word about emergencies. This report is the 5th in a series to determine how and why the agency fell short on January 6th. The Biden administration says it is confident that the withdrawal from Afghanistan can be completed before the August 31st deadline. But others aren't so sure and are criticizing the president for not extending the timeline in order to make sure no one is left behind. Skylar Henry has more details from the White House.
The military says it's doing everything it can to make sure every American and Afghan ally gets out of the country before the August 31st deadline.
90 flights total yesterday that left the Kabul airport. That is accounted for 19,000 evacuees now safely out of Afghanistan.
President Biden announced Tuesday that he will not be extending the deadline, but says he has asked the Pentagon and State Department for contingency plans if the withdrawal is not yet complete.
The completion by August 31st depends upon the Taliban continuing to cooperate and allow access to the airport for those who were transporting out.
The president says staying beyond the deadline would be dangerous for U.S. troops.
Every day we're on the ground is another day we know that ISIS-K is seeking to target the airport and attack both U.S. and allied forces and innocent civilians.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are criticizing the administration's handling of the withdrawal and questioning whether the U.S. can complete the operation of getting people out before the deadline.
Don't put a timeline until every American comes home.
Two congressmen, Democrat Seth Moulton and Republican Peter Meyer, made an unauthorized trip to Kabul Tuesday to see the situation for themselves.
Really? We're trying to get people out?
In a statement, they said because we started the evacuation so late that no matter what we do, we won't be able to get everyone out on time. The White House pushed back, saying we advise against any Americans, whether elected or not, attempting to travel to Kabul right now. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Representatives Moulton and Meyer says they flew on jump seats in the aircraft and did not take space from any evacuees. The Pentagon says it altered missions in Afghanistan in order to provide protection for the congressmen. Forest Service officials have extended the closure of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness as Minnesota's largest wildfire doubled in size. The Greenwood fire burning in the Superior National Forest grew to about 30 square miles this week, and 4 newer, smaller fires started within the BWCA. Officials have decided to keep the popular wilderness closed for another week until September 3rd. It's a big blow to the tourists who spent months planning their trips, as well as to the businesses that depend on them. Well, coming up at noon, if you want the most effective workout, a few studies show that you should have to stay up late while doing that. But next, Lisa Green is back with weather.